What's up, guys? Since 2016 is over now, I decided to go in and talk about some of the movies that I saw and kind of create a top 10 best and top 5 worst movies of 2016. Keep in mind, I didn't see all the movies in 2016, so there's probably some movies that are worse than these particular movies, but I probably didn't see them. So if you did see them, if you saw some movies that you thought really sucked, let me know in the comments or give your top 5 worst movies in the comments. I'd like to see that. That'd be really cool to see. But without any further ado, let's begin.
Number 5.
So I think number 5 was a little bit easy for me because I didn't think it was that terrible, but it definitely wasn't that good. And that is Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, the movie wasn't terrible. It wasn't, I don't know, it was just kind of boring, I guess you could say. The story I thought was interesting. I liked seeing the gigantic mothership kind of going over the moon, going over the earth and like messing cities up and everything like that. It was really cool looking. Designs of everything was really cool, but I thought it was just, kind of a mess. I thought the acting was not very good. The original had a lot of cheesy lines also, but those cheesy lines worked somehow with it. They were funny, they were witty. The cheesy lines in this were just kind of annoying to me, I guess. That and the fact that you don't have Will Smith, which would have been a major boost to the kind of charisma factor of this movie. I think Liam Hemsworth did fine. It just seems like he was kind of forcing his character out, as his performance seemed kind of forced to me. And the character who is Will Smith's son was really bland, really boring character, and he didn't seem to really add anything to the plot, and he was so boring. Things that happened to him didn't seem to have any weight to it, I guess. But overall, I can see people kind of having fun with this movie. Like I said, it wasn't too bad, but it just barely kind of reached the bottom 5 movies of the year for me at number 5.
Numero 4.
Batman vs. Superman. F this movie and everything they're trying to do behind the scenes. Instead of trying to make a comprehensible movie, they decided to make it a 2-hour-some long trailer for setup for future movies. What is the point to that? This could have been a good movie, but wasn't. Like, why wasn't this a good movie? There's no reason why it wasn't at least decent. It was messy, the editing was messy, there was gratuitous and pointless shoving in of Justice League setup, future superhero setup. It just, all of that stuff. There's so much like in there muddling and muddying up the plot. If they had just focused on this story like movies should focus on the movie and not any other movie unless it's absolutely necessary for the plot of the film. This movie shoved in sequences of Justice League setup. They shoved in Wonder Woman, which I actually really did like Wonder Woman in this film, don't get me wrong. But I thought it was just really too in your face, really. Not to mention the pointless retelling of Batman's origin for the 47th time. I mean, how many times do we have to see it? It's been in almost, every single Batman movie ever made, it seems like? It did look really good, but it was just completely pointless. They could have gone completely without all that stuff because in the end, that sequence and the themes they were trying to convey didn't really follow through. The movie, however, was really great looking. The action was phenomenal to me. That was definitely the best part of the movie, was probably the action and how good the movie looked. From a plot standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from editing standpoint, from every other standpoint, to me, it just completely fell apart. It was super disappointing, and that's why I'm putting it at my number 4 spot for the bottom 5 movies of 2016.
Number 3.
Again, talking about disappointments, Assassin's Creed. How disappointing was that freaking movie? Now, this movie was just plain bad. Like, with Batman vs. Superman, you can say it looks fantastic. The action was fantastic. There was a lot of good things about it. But Assassin's Creed, really its only saving grace is the acting. Because most video game movies, I think most people can agree that the acting is very subpar. Whereas Michael Fassbender and the other actors in this movie, they performed fine. Their acting was was fine for the most part. However, the development for the characters, especially when they go to the past, was severely lacking. If they had focused the movie in that past, because that was the most interesting aspect, is him going into the past and being this, like his ancestor, which we don't know anything about and didn't learn anything about. I don't remember if he even said anything in the movie. That's how kind of boring, I guess it was. It was so boring that I don't remember if his ancestor ever spoke. The editing was choppy. I didn't really it was kind of neat, but I didn't really like how they would chop into the future of him attached to the Animus. But however cool it was pretty jarring. I wish they would have just focused in the past. I felt like that story would have been a much, much stronger story to tell.
Number dos.
All right, already down to number 2. So like I said earlier, some of these can be interchanged because I didn't think that they were that terribly bad, but they are the worst movies that I saw this year. And number 2 definitely has to be Ghostbusters because of how, again, incredibly disappointing and really bad it was. After first hearing about this movie, I was fairly decently excited, although it's been so many years. My excitement has kind of gone down over the years of getting like another Ghostbusters movie. And I didn't really care that they were all women. That's whatever is, as long as they make a decent movie, it doesn't really matter, does it? Unfortunately, during most of the entirety of this movie, I was kind of annoyed, mainly because the movie didn't really seem to have a script. It seemed like they were ad-libbing the entire movie, and the actors couldn't come up with anything, so they just decided to be silly and not really funny at all, I guess. Now, there are a few times that I did laugh, but those times that I did laugh, they either took it too far or did something right after to make it really stupid. And that's kind of bringing me back to the actors kind of seeming to ad-lib all of their lines, all of the scenes. I'm not really sure if there was a script to this movie, legitimately. Nothing felt natural. Everything felt really forced. The comedy felt forced. The jokes kind of fell flat. I would understand if somebody thought this was funny and thought this was a good movie. I didn't. And the effects were awful. I remember seeing Slimer in the original Ghostbusters, and I legitimately thought that looked better than what we saw in this movie. Especially the last scene. Talk about CG overload. Just these characters, jumping around, trying to be, action-y. And it's neat to look at, but it just doesn't make sense. They're, not action stars, and this isn't an action movie. And yet these characters are jumping around trying to do, kung fu against ghosts. It was just really stupid to me. So those are the reasons why I thought Ghostbusters was number 2. I was just really annoyed almost the whole time watching it.
Number Ichi.
Okay, my number 1 pick had to be Girl on a Train. And I think a lot of it has to do with the demographic that I am. Since I am not a woman and I am not a fan of the Lifetime Network, which watching this movie, not knowing anything really about it, going into it, I knew what I was getting into by the trailers they played before the movie. Things like 50 Shades of Grey and other sappy romances, which I actually don't really have a problem with if it's done well. This movie felt like a Lifetime original movie released in theaters, with some bigger Hollywood actors, like Emily Blunt. So the movie's plot was lots of twists and turns with the plot and what's going on, which could kind of be a good thing because it keeps you guessing the whole time, and that's what the movie did. It did keep me guessing the whole time, except for the fact that I was irritated the whole movie because not a single character in this movie is likable. Every single character has something about them. They're either a jerk or they're a raging alcoholic or having some sort of problem that was just shoved in the audience face the whole entire movie, and it was really irritating. Now, in terms of the performances of the actors were fine. It's just the characters I had a major problem with. And his things that were happening were super stereotypical, lots of cliches, very typical, like I said, Lifetime movie. So needless to say, I do not ever want to see Girl on a Train ever again. And those are the reasons why that is my number 1 worst movie of 2016. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you liked the list. Like I said before, give me your own list in the comments and let me know what movies you thought sucked in 2016. And look forward to my top 10 best movies in 2016, hopefully sometime next week. But if you liked the video, give it a like, and if you enjoy my videos, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to make more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.